Hi. So I'm actually wanting to share something that kind of has just been weighing on me a little bit, especially as of late. We just recently released, or we didn't, but the US recently released the Barbie movie. I saw it last week and was grieved at a lot of the kind of the undertone in a lot of it was just anti-patriarchy and this just hyper feminist movement, feminine, anti men kind of movement. And there was multiple different things in it that I didn't agree with, but that's not totally what I want to talk about. But it kind of ties into it a little bit. What I want to talk about is that there just seems to be this dividing line and divisiveness that has really permeated the millennial culture. And I would even say it's affecting Gen Z. I know it's not just the millennials, but I would say that Generation X hasn't felt it to the degree that the millennials, what I'm about to share, what we are experiencing, what we have felt. And I believe that Generation X may have been on the cusp, but most of them didn't experience what we're experiencing, what the millennials are experiencing, and what Gen Z is experiencing, which I think that they're coping a little bit better, but there still is things going on that are factors. I don't know if we could technically cope better, but I'm just noticing that there is a serious phenomenon that's actually creating division and divisiveness. And it isn't the sexes being at odds with each other, but we think that we are. So I'll just kind of start off by sharing that I have never been married. I've dated in different seasons. I'm in a season where I'm dating, and there was a season where I was very serious with someone. It didn't result in marriage, but we are in a really interesting time in this world because most of the time we're meeting people that are not local. We're connecting with people online, even if it's not a dating platform. The way that we're engaging with people, the opposite sex, or just in general dating, is actually a bit compromised compared to what it used to be. We don't have a structure or any kind of dynamic to go off from. And I used to actually be one of the women that would be like, man, men are just so passive. And I think that I started learning that it was because of feminism that men have like actually felt a bit pulled back and not showing up the same way. But also the rules have all changed. And it's not just that women have changed either. Men and women are facing something that we didn't ever have to face before. And it has a lot more to do with technology, how fast things are moving, what is and is not available, and what is societally accepted that wasn't accepted before. So, we as a culture have been taught that, like, well, right now, I would call it toxic feminism, is actually attacking the family unit and saying that that's not valuable. And even though I would say that there are a lot of people that are even feminists that really would like to find someone that they could do life with forever. And even if they say that they aren't into modern marriage or whatever, or even being moms or whatever, I really truly believe that there is not one single person that woke up and said, I'd really like to be alone. I think deep in the heart of every single person, they want someone that they can spend the rest of their life with. And I would say that that's the same for men. But because there's so many things that have shifted and changed the rules, and then also the way that people feel attacked and like almost like an us versus them message, because of toxic femininity instead of like healthy femininity, and actually and like kind of a demonization of men, especially masculine men, and kind of this over overemphasis of patriarchy, which I can fully, as a female, concur that there has been things that have been very limiting and very kind of like stigmatic over what a woman is. But at the same time, like, we are not completely confined, especially in this generation where it's being harped on the most. And the things that have been shifted have actually caused us to lose some of what we had and that was actually good. And people still want the things that were good from the past. So this all kind of originated, and I know I just kind of went on a long spiel to get where I'm going, but this is going to be good. Okay, so I was watching a reel, and the reel, and this is just after the Barbie movie, and so I think that there's like a lot of divisiveness and a lot of just us versus them kind of combative nonsense going on. So there was a reel, and this girl, which what she was saying was real in the reel, but what she was saying was, wow, back in the wartime, in World War I or World War II, a woman would have multiple love letters from a guy. And I can't even get one text message response, or like can't even get a response. And she's like, wow, the bar has really went low. Like, you can't even see the bar. It's gone and all of this. And I sometimes just out of curiosity, not because I'm trying to pick a fight, not because I'm not really interested in that kind of nonsense, but I want to know what people are thinking and saying. And I actually have an ability to see things from a bit of a broader perspective. And so often I'll get a grid or like a pulse for what's going on, and then I'll actually have, from my standpoint and understanding, and also I think from what God's given me in wisdom, I'll just have a bigger grasp on what is going on. And so there was women that were all harping, and the men are all this way, and they all do this, and they all ghost and all this. And then there was men coming on, and they were like, women are all this way, and you guys do it, and you're the problem. And it was kind of like this back and forth. You're the problem. No, you're the problem. You guys do it. Well, you do it. And like, it was just like, this feels like little kids when like, it was like, it's their fault. No, it's their fault. And it was like, this is really, there's something bigger going on here. You know, it's like really silly to just be back and forth. Like, it's your fault. No, mine, yours. Like, I don't know. So anyway, just because I have capacity to see things from a bigger picture and a bigger perspective, and I do believe that it often comes from the Lord and from revelation and just understanding. The spirit of understanding and the spirit of wisdom is actually from God. And it's just like, I can scale back and see things from a lot bigger vantage point, because it's way bigger than just someone saying, oh, see, men have changed, or like things have changed because they used to be like this and whatever. Well, I will say that courage has been in short supply, but then there's also been a whole lot of demonization on both sides. And so anyway, we're not going to talk about the it's them or it's us or whatever. We're going to talk about what really happened and why we are in a situation like we've never been in before in this time in history. And I would like to even submit some options and ideas to help people actually maybe think more outside of the box and come up with some different solutions to make things better, especially if you're a believer, because we are not meant to live according to the standards of this world. We're actually meant to find kingdom relationships and have healthy marriages. And we can't really just keep playing the same games and behaving like the world. We need to be an example to the world. So let's talk about some just simple things. The first simple thing, if we're going to go off from historically, culturally, if we're going to go off from how things used to be, we could go to the war. We could even go before that. But let's just go pre-technology. Let's just go to a time in history when in World War, when there was these beautiful love letters being written. Let's just talk about what was different. not men and women, but what was different. Okay. So, first of all, people were not freely giving themselves to every partner and having open sexual relationships with people. It was very taboo, and it wasn't everyone doing it. It was like the majority of the people were still working on saving themselves for marriage. Even if it was a desired thing, it wasn't a common thing for everybody to be going home with someone, or like there's like apparently a, like in the world, the third date rule where you have to sleep with someone. That was so not acceptable at all, society wide. And there was actually, when things are free, when things are given away and they're free, people will totally lose value for those things. Men are actually designed to go after something and treasure it like a prize. And if it is a prize, and if that woman is like, no, like I belong to one person, and men too, like if they're like, I'm gonna belong to one person, then their value goes up automatically. And so there was a lot of men during the time of war when most of the men were actually being forced, drafted to go into war, conscripted or whatever. There was men that said, I need to have something that keeps me fighting, keeps me wanting to stay alive, something that will bring me home, hopefully. And so their hope was that they could find a woman that they could have a picture of, or a lock of her hair, or something that they could be like, that woman is amazing, she's beautiful, and they could commit to, there's a prize at the end of this. I want to make that woman my wife. I want to have her for life. And so they may have only had one or two interactions with that person where they like talked sweetly to them, maybe had time to talk, and they said, please, can I have a picture of you? Will you write me while I'm in the war? Because they wanted something to fight for, to keep them alive, to bring them home. There were people that did like behave promiscuously, but a lot of times, I've even seen this like in movies, I've heard stories about this. The women that were more promiscuous were a little bit more scary for the men, because those were often the women that went and found someone else while the guy was away. So promiscuity didn't actually make the woman a better person. It made her more prone to wander, and it made that man feel like more uneasy. I mean, even if it made him happy in the meantime, if he fought for someone and came home and find out that she was in the arms of someone else, that would be really heartbreaking for him. So it was special to the guy to be like, I have something to fight for, and I am going to come back. And when I come back, I'm going to marry this person. And so that was the first thing. There wasn't rampant sexuality and openness. It has become so easily given away and so meaningless to just like, sex has been way overemphasized in our culture, and it has ruined a lot of things. For the people that keep themselves pure, it's even somehow become demeaning to be keeping yourself pure, unless you're a believer and you understand the value of it. But it is still valuable and ultimately something worth fighting for. Secondly, we did not have the same technology. We have a totally different world than they had back then. Absence really does make the heart grow fonder. What they had was snail mail. Even the culture past that, when it was just like a phone on a wall, people had to drive to your house to know if you were actually home, to know if you actually ignored their phone call. And there was no answering machines. So even in the 90s, before all of the technology went off, people were actually able to build relationships better. I would say 80s, they had it really well because there wasn't all of this technology. So you could very easily, not unless someone was a stalker, you could very easily be missing them because you didn't talk to them every single day at all times. And people weren't on the phone constantly. They would spend time with the person, and when they went home, they would think about them. And then they would be like able to miss them, especially during the war. You want to know why it was so romantic? Why there was so many beautiful love letters is because there was a huge gap of time from from the time that that soldier got on that airplane or ship or whatever he got on until that first letter arrived. It was weeks because it was snail mail. There was no phones, there was no internet, there was no immediate access. And then she wrote a letter he was waiting for, and he had to wait weeks and weeks to get it. And when he got it, it was priceless. And those words became weighty and meant so much to the heart. And so, of course, those letters were kept. You could develop so much attachment to someone over written paper and a picture because you missed that person, because they actually were somebody that you felt was valuable to you, that made a promise that they would stick around for you, that they would return to you. If you were the woman, they would return to you after they fought a war. You, as a woman, knew you somehow were helping to keep them alive, and you wanted them to live. You wanted them to come back and marry you, and all the promises that were in those letters, you wanted that promise fulfilled. And as that man, you wanted to hold that woman in your arms again. You wanted to see her beauty. You wanted to actually get down on one knee and propose to her. It was something beautiful. The reason that things survived better is because we didn't have instant messenger, where you can literally tell when someone is online and if they're talking to somebody and it's not you and you're wanting them to talk to you, because there is something where we have gotten so used to, and this is the same with cell phones, with the ability to call anyone and have a screen that like almost like they're in person with you experience. You can get very used to someone being in your life, but you have not developed affection. You have not allowed love to grow. There is not developed intimacy. One thing that this generation wants is like kind of that instant gratification love experience. That doesn't happen. It grows over time, and absence really does make the heart grow fonder. What we have a really big problem with is two things. We have way too much access to technology and way too many options. So if you have people that are wanting to experience love, but we get instant gratification with everything. If we don't like what we see, we can change the channel. If we don't like what we're experiencing, we can say goodbye. And because we're so used to getting everything we want all the time, the way we want it, and we think we have so many options, and it doesn't help when there's pornography everywhere and there's like OnlyFans and all of this disgusting stuff. I just truly believe that there is so much instant gratification and people believing that they're just gonna know when they meet someone, but they didn't put any effort in and they didn't get to develop anything, and they expect for like instant intimacy and instant passion and instant desire and instant love, and for that person to meet all of these things for them without it even having time or room to grow. And those people are actually probably amazing. The men are probably really courageous and have like amazing personalities and want to be like a protector and to take care of a woman. But what they're getting is a woman who is like really expecting so much all at once, and they haven't developed the feelings for the woman. And the same could go vice versa. We have in our culture something that didn't exist before. We're having anxious attachment disorder and anxious avoidant disorder. Both of those are created because technology has given us an instant gratification desire where we're going to have all of our needs and desires met by someone, is what we hope and believe. We're either going to feel like overwhelmed by someone's affection and their desire to connect to us, and we're going to feel like it's clingy, and we're going to feel like it's gross, and we're going to be overwhelmed by it because we didn't develop affection for that person yet, because we didn't have time to. We may have been attracted to them, like things about them, but then they were like so intense and we were like, back up. So then we actually feel the desire to distance and push away from them because we didn't get the opportunity to miss them. Or anxious attachment disorder, which is this fear of not being taken care of or loved, and being like, I'll prove that I'm worth being loved. Please just like, are you there? Are you ignoring me? Because I'm here and I want you and I need you. But what we really are really wanting is just to be loved. And we're hoping that that person will love us, and desiring so much that they'll pay attention to us that we actually create a huge amount of stress, and they feel a sense of clinginess to our desire to connect. So those two things were not an issue before. Like, were there jerks and were there people that were unhealthy and all of that? Sure. There's always been people like that, but it's not men or women being the problem. What it is we have a whole societal shift. We grew up in a place where everything developed so quickly, and there is actual access to instant gratification, even in people feeling like that they can satisfy their desires through pornography. And they can go talk to someone else that they think is attractive in 5 seconds. It's in secular music. It's actually really gross and disgusting because we're not getting anything, because we aren't willing to hold things in a space of loose tension and still have a desire to get to know someone. I know that it's not as romantic as someone saying, I will fight for you. Please give me a picture of you. I will write letters to you. I want to come back to you. I get that it is not the same. But what we could actually have is people that learn how to communicate with each other and say, hey, listen, I know that we have all of these social media opportunities. We can FaceTime each other. We can text each other like crazy. We can IM and DM and all these things. We have access to all kinds of different apps that we can connect to each other in. I can send you pictures of me for days. It's fine. But what I think would be healthy is that maybe if you don't hear from me, I should let you know that I am really good at communicating and I'm not going to play with you. I will let you know if things are going too fast or if I would like more from you. I think if people could get better at communicating and saying, I have an interest in you. I also am not going to always respond right away to your messages, or if I don't call you back, it doesn't mean I'm not attracted to you. If people actually would even somehow censor themselves from stalking the people or ignoring from overwhelm, and actually just use communication, the people that they're interested in, we might actually get somewhere in this generation. I honestly think that technology has been the most massive crutch, and it's been hurtful and bad. And the thing is, growing in intimacy is scary. And committing to someone is scary, but it's actually not as scary. And also, like I said in the beginning, have some stinking values. Stop giving everything away for free. It automatically makes you go up in value. Even if you were someone that has given everything away for free for so long, stop doing it. It is actually not benefiting you. If you will actually wait and say, no, I am choosing to not give things away because that is not actually helping me find somebody that I can do life with, you will do yourself a huge favor, because just passing things over so that you can have connection with someone, it is not love, and it goes away and it's gone, and people are not going to fall in love that way. It is one type of connection, and it's very, very, very insignificant, and they can replace it very easily. If you are showing that you actually can communicate, you actually want to invest in that person, but it doesn't mean that you are instantly in the, like, when you're in love, that's when you should be like, I just want to talk to them all night long, but I'm going to go to bed because I need sleep, but I want to talk to them all night long. You shouldn't feel pressured to talk to someone all night long that you don't have feelings for like that yet. And you shouldn't be trying to force yourself to love someone just because you're alone and you want someone. What you should do is actually make your standards go up. The reason that God said it's not good for everybody to be giving sex away all over the place is because you actually make all of these connections with people that you don't actually get to keep for life. And it's very painful and it's very fracturing and damaging. It was all for our own good. But the thing is, there are some people that are really worth that investment, and they may not want to talk all the time, or they may feel overwhelmed that you don't want to talk to them all the time. And that's where direct communication is going to help. And especially as believers, I would just say work on communicating and just saying, hey, I just have this thing where I'm just going to not be overly attached to my technology on purpose, because I want this to grow, and it won't grow if I hold it too tightly or too loosely, if I approach this too passively or too intensely. This isn't actually going to benefit me if I'm trying all the time to use technology to connect. Why don't you guys find other things that are opportunities? What if you, even if you're long distance, what if you just listen to each other's voices sometimes instead of their face? What if sometimes you send texts? What if you encourage each other, write something that's meaningful to each other? There's ways to make it more exciting. The thing is, we just need to work on boundaries with this technology, because this is literally what is causing huge issues. And if you're talking to people that constantly make you feel like there's better options, then you're talking to the wrong people, because there are people that'll see the value in you. And they may be overwhelmed if you still are either like ignoring them because you're overwhelmed, or not talking to them enough, or talking to them too much, but they will automatically see the value in you. And the goal is actually to build something with someone where it doesn't feel overwhelming. And so having some boundaries and just communicating, that's really, really where it's at. It's going to take a lot of work, because things have been stacked against us, and we are literally learning how to adjust and adapt. And it is hard. There's ways for people that are quality timers to connect through social media, and there's ways for people who are like more into like words of affirmation and things like that, learning those things about someone. But build it. Don't expect it to be magic and overnight. It's never going to be like that. You're not going to fall in love overnight. That doesn't happen. It's not real. It's not going to happen that way. And everyone is so over-triggered right now that people are literally repelling each other, and they really just want someone. And it's because of technology, and it's because of way too many options. So if you really like someone and you see something good in them, and you think you saw something good, but then you start being either like feeling like they're not good because they don't talk to you enough, or they're not good because they talk to you too much, just communicate and back up a little bit and encourage them. It's okay. Let's just kind of pace this thing. I'm still interested in you. I just want to pace it because technology isn't helping us. And communicate and see what happens. Just my food for thought. Honestly, this could benefit believers, non-believers. It could benefit everybody. We are actually seeing something in this culture that is super sad. And it's unnecessarily sad, because everybody is attached to their devices. And if we would just chill out a little bit and not expect instant gratification, and realize that love is something you have to work for, and it doesn't come overnight, and it especially isn't going to be when you get things for free and give things away for free, because love costs something, and you have to decide, am I worth the investment? Then I'm going to make myself expensive. That's all I have to say. Just think about it. What I'm saying is true. I know. And if you think about it, you'll find out it's true too. We're not each other's enemies, and we need to learn how to help each other, because this unfortunately isn't going away, but maybe we can learn how to work around it. And for everyone who has been passed by for another option, I'm sorry. I've been passed by for other options too, and it super sucks. And I know how it feels. And also, it didn't diminish you at all, because you're still a really great option. And the more that you invest in yourself and realize that you're expensive and worth it, and communicate well, you'll find a right person. It's not as sparse as it feels. And there's not just a few good guys, and it's not, or a few great women. And it's not just as bad as everybody thinks it is. Have a great night.